What up, though? What up, though? Welcome to I.O.W Sports. I am your host, Detroit Mel. I'm running solo again. How y'all feel out there? I'm excited to do another day. Welcome to our Monday show. We got a jam pack full of things I want to talk about. Lamar had to take care of some things, and I think Nick can still take care of some things on his own too. But anyway, we're gonna do this all by ourselves. So if you haven't subscribed, go down to our Facebook page. Go down to our YouTube page, subscribe I.O.W Sports Network YouTube page. Also, go over to our Facebook, our network page, I.O.W Sports Network. If you have any kind of takes you want to say, just come onto our page and say what you got to say. If you're selling something, promoting something, you can promote it on our page, because the key thing, as Lamar say, is network. We are into networking and collabs. We collab with a lot of different people. So, if you have a sports page and you want to collab, just go ahead and drop it into our Facebook page, and we get up with you and collab. Also, I don't have one on today, but exclusive I.O.W hats. There are only 3 people that has them: me, Lamar, and Matt. So you'll see it in a minute. I'm gonna have the Cash App scrolling across the bottom of the page. Just drop $30 into the Cash App, leave your name, inbox of your name and address, and we will send you an exclusive I.O.W sports hat. I was trying to see if I had one in the studio somewhere, but I don't. I think that's everything. I'm used to Lamar doing this, so I got to get the hang of it. But anyway, it's been an interesting sports week. No basketball, which I'm surprised they didn't have any basketball for 2 days. Basketball is tonight, but we want to start off with boxing. The Hall of Fame boxing inductees. Let me pull up the names here: Floyd Mayweather, Vladimir Klitschko, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Shane Mosley, James Tolley, Layla Ali, Miguel Cotto, Juan Manuel Marquez, and a few others. So I thought it'd be interesting to, just going down the boxing memory lane. I'm one of the ones who always remember when boxing used to be good, from weight all the way to heavyweight. You can watch boxing all the time. So I put a few videos together just so we can kind of like scroll down boxing memory lane as we look at some of the inductees. And that was just in case y'all didn't know, that was Bernard Hopkins. Who remember Bernard Hopkins? Great fighter, man. I remember watching Bernard Hopkins fight. I think he was a great fighter, man. I think he was a little underrated. Had some great battles, some great fights. I used to love watching Bernard fight a lot. Wasn't my favorite boxer, but I still like to watch. He's tough, man. Tough, tough fighter. But here's another one. Now, some of them don't have sounds. I ain't have time to fix it, so just bear with me. I think this one does.
And hurt Wise with that right hand punch. Gets in another right.
A good body shot.
Left hook to the body. And down goes Wise onto the fight. After having a 10-8 round. Another hard body shot drives Wise back. And another hard body shot. And be able to pay off his doctor bills. That's a victory for everybody. Oh, here we go again. Just about that, in anticipation of a possible matchup down the road between these two. Farah said that was a long time ago. It's not worth talking about now. Wise in trouble again. His legs wobbling as Mosley attacks.
What's good, Matt? What's good? That was Sugar Shane Mosley. Great fighter, man. Quick fighter. I remember watching Sugar Shane. I thought he was a great fighter. You know, one thing I like to bring up when we talk about the boxers, the one thing I hate to see is those boxers who don't know when it's time to give it up. Of course, when you're showing highlights, you're showing their greatest moments. And, we just got through watching Bernard Hopkins and now Sugar Shane Mosley. At their heyday, man, great fighters. But then it be a time where those skills kind of go away and then they don't know when to give it up. And they just look so bad, man. Bernard Hopkins getting knocked out of the ring. Sugar Shane, I think, was it Roy Jones he fought? Or was it Mayweather? I can't remember who it was, but just see him just getting destroyed. I remember Larry Holmes fighting Mike Tyson, man. When you're a certain age or your skills is gone, give it up. Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna bring up Roy Jones, Tyson, Pernell Whitaker. Man, those were great fighters, man. Here's another one, Matt. We talked. If you didn't hear me from the beginning, I was talking about the inductees into the Hall of Fame. So I was kind of in honor of that. I was playing a few people to see, just go through the match and everything. But here's another one. This one don't have sound though. I mean, look at that, man. As far as like women boxers, I think she was pound for pound the best women boxer I ever seen box. Ended her career undefeated. Great fighter. Great fighter. A lot of times people get down on women fight. I like to watch it, man. Especially like watching Later Ali, skilled fighter. Skilled fighter. Voice of Emmanuel Stewart. Skilled fighter, man. I just think that a lot of times, with women's sports, they don't get a lot of hype. And I think that if it wasn't for the fact that she was Muhammad Ali's daughter, I don't think she would have got as much shine as she did. But if you ever watch her fight, she was a great fighter. Great fighter. You can see the skill level there. I mean, to go undefeated in boxing is tough anyway. Rocky Marciano and Mayweather, only two ever done it on the men's side, and Later Ali done on the women's side. We got one more for you. That's Floyd Mayweather. That was his first fight after the Olympics. That was one of his first fights, man. And so, since we brought up Mayweather, he been inducted to the Hall of Fame. A lot of people get down on him because of his defensive way of fighting. I think that if he winning, he winning, man. If you can't hit him, you know what I'm saying? If you can't hit him, it still takes skills. Especially in going against a skilled boxer, going against a boxer against someone who's skilled, and they missing you. That's skill. Jab Judah. Oh man, Gaddy. I meant to show the fight between Gaddy and who was it? God, I can't think of the Irish guy. That was a great fight. I mean, they was going at it. I mean, they was just both exhausted, still hitting each other. Do you think Gaddy had the advantage? Yeah, Ward. That's it. Thanks, Ward. That was a great fight, man. That was a classic fight. That's something that was an instant classic. Mickey Ward. Yep, that's it. That was a great fight. Anybody haven't seen that fight, go on YouTube and watch that fight. When you talking about something you got your money's worth, that was a great fight. I mean, they was hitting each other. Then it looked like Gaddy had the advantage. And then Ward to come out and get the advantage. You can see the exhaust. Gaddy was so tired, he couldn't even wrap him up. and then you think, oh, he's done. He just came back, and he did some blows in. Do you think he gonna knock down Ward, and Ward comes back? Great fight, man. But I thought it'd be interesting to mention some honorary mentions. Um, Boom, Ray Boo Boo Mancini. I used to like watching him fight. Unfortunately, he stopped fighting after he knocked Kim. I think that's the fighter name, Kim, out the ring. They fought 3 times and they both took several beats each time. Right. Those some great. See, Matt, those are the kind of fights you want to see. Those are the kind of fights that you see that'll keep people watching boxing. Right now, MMA and UFC is taking over, man, because they have more fights like that over on their side. But boxing is rare. Either you're gonna see somebody that's gonna be totally dominant over a fighter, or it's gonna be like some people say, they watch Mayweather because of a boring fight, because of defense. But I think if you have more Gaddy Ward fights like that, it'll bring boxing back. I think boxing is losing to UFC and because of the excitement. UFC is any given night. That's what I like about UFC. Toe to toe, they went and just kept swinging. Right, that's a street fight. That's a good fight, man. When you see stuff like that, Matt, it's worth your money. I mean, as great as Tyson was in his prime, no one wants to spend all that money, get dressed up, and go out and you turn your head to fight over. You want to be able to at least enjoy the fight. So I think like when you see fights like Ward and Gaddy, it's worth the time, it's worth your money. Who else? I mentioned Roy Jones, but he was inducted. Bernard Hopkins, Sugar Shane Mosley, the lady that beat Ronda Rossi. She was a boxer before she joined MMA. She was inducted. But who they didn't mention, and I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, I forgot to look it up. Julio Cesar Chavez. He fought in 3 weight classes. Love watching any two Mexican fight. They must just keep swinging, right? Julio Cesar Chavez was a great fighter. He was what was it? Featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. Fought in all 3 classes, and when he fought in welterweight, he was older. I think Whitaker beat him, but Chavez got the decision in that one. And then he ended up losing. I think he ended up with his overall record. I think he lost 6 or 7 fights. But he fought 107 fights. That's a lot of fights, man. That is a lot. 107 fights. I think it's 107 and 6 or 107 and 7. It's 106 and 2. I think you got to take your hat off to a fighter that fought 107 times and dominated majority of the time he boxed. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier. With most sports, you have to know when to hang the gloves up, the cleats up, the sneakers up, the skates up, whatever sport you're talking about. When you get to a certain age, you got to know when it's time to say, you know what, I'm not as good. I'm not as but you think about it from this standpoint, Mayweather, if you look at his beginning his career, he knocked a few guys out. He was hitting hard for his weight class, and as his skill diminished, he changed the style of fighting so he can keep winning. You gotta give him props for that. You gotta give him props for that. A lot of people will try to keep. A lot of boxers, as we talking about boxing, would like to keep fighting the same style as they get older, but you lose speed. That's what look at Roy Jones. Roy Jones is a perfect example. You look the way Roy Jones fought, hands to the side and all that showboat. And that's good when you fast and young, but when you get old, you lose that speed and you keep fighting the same style, you'll get knocked out. That's why he got knocked out by what's it? Hey, I call him the dude down the street because he's like some common dude, Glenn Johnson or something like that. I mean, he knocked him out cold. I mean, Roy went to sleep, and reason why is he should have changed his style as he got older and lost some of those skills. When you get older, you lose speed, hand speed go, foot speed go, all that stuff goes. Very seldom does people keep that as they get older, and these boxers, need to know when to change styles. Now, I'm a big advocate um of like I say in football. When you playing football, 6 to 8 years, get out. Boxing, you know, I won't put in a time frame on it, but you taking that punishment in hitting the head and the body over and over again, like I talk about Chavez fighting 107 fights. That's a lot of abuse on your body. I would say, man, I saw Hopkins versus Tolliver in Atlantic City, both in 2006. Chavez was on the undercard. That was a great fight too. Hopkins and Antonio Tarver. And Tarver's another fighter. He was I, I won't say he was a decent fighter. I'll say that. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame fighter. I think Hopkins is. I think that all the people that was inducted in, I think deserve to be in. I have no issue with none of the ones that just was been inducted in. Was it yesterday, a couple of days ago? This year's inductees, I have no issue with none of them. I think all of them are great fighters and deserve to get in. I just think when you get a certain age, it looks bad when and I'm going back to Roy Jones. When he lost that speed, man, he kept fighting, and it was like, come on, man. He played Mason, the Lion, Dixon, and Rocky Balboa. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't see it. I didn't see that. Right, after certain Rockies, man, I just stopped watching it. I think after four was the Russian one, right? After that one, I stopped watching Rocky. I was like, come on, man, how many Rockies gonna make? That's like the Expendables, man. It's like, oh, Tarver, okay, yeah, that's like the Expendables. After I saw one, I ain't need to see two, three, and four. That's enough. Seeing all these old action heroes trying to live their heyday. Same thing with Rocky Balboa. I mean, Stallone just looked old. You know what I'm saying? I want to see that. I think Rocky 3 is my favorite one. I like the one with Mr. T. That was great, man. I love that one. That was my favorite Rocky out of all of them. But going back to what I was saying though, yeah, I just think that these boxers now is different. But speaking of that, I want to play this what Klitschko said. I thought this was very interesting. He said some interesting things. Let's see.
What's up, Canastata? Thank you, fans and officials, for the recognition. I remember when I was 14 and started my journey in boxing, I used it as a tool how to travel at a very young age. And I never ever dreamed of getting that far in this sport, especially being among all the respected champions in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Amazing and a huge honor. Unfortunately, the Russian aggression in my home country, Ukraine, and the war have prevented me from sharing in person this ceremony with you. This war has changed not just me, but the entire world. I also remember how boxing has changed my life. Boxing just made me a better person, period. Even if it was a bit scary in the beginning, but later on I really started to enjoy it. You know how it is. It taught me a lot. Contrary to the popular expression, every punch I ate made me smarter. Don't take too many of those. Not good. One key principle served me enormously: safety first. This principle has allowed me to last, which is the secret of my endurance, and Floyd Mayweather's too. I'm super happy to be able to address you all tonight, almost all of you. There's one person for whom I have a real question. One person broke Ukrainian law by going to the occupied peninsula of Crimea through Russian territory. That person is Roy Jones. So, Roy, whose side are you on? On the side of the aggressor or on the side of the defender of its right to live? I respect you as a fighter, but I really question your moral compass. There's another person I would like to talk about, and it's marvelous Marvin Hagler. He's sorely missed. I listened to him a few years ago in Canastata when my brother was inducted. He was talking about Hall of Fame and boxing as a home base. Well, I think our home base needs to challenge itself as well. We celebrate the best of the best at Hall of Fame, but however, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. Thousands and thousands of young amateur and professional athletes keep boxing alive or lose their life, as is happening, unfortunately, every year. Yet many have no security, no education, or healthcare. The governing bodies, managers, and promoters, you know who they are, never think about the well being of the athletes, especially in their life after boxing. Life after sport is much longer than you think. It's a must to help these young people to prepare for it and change the current system of the sport. I have a dream to reunite amateurs and professionals under one roof and in one transparent organization. There's only one noble art and sweet science, boxing. There should be only one association that accompanies the athletes and
And that was Klitschko. I think he made a lot of great points there. I want to start off first with his addressing of Roy Jones. Now, you can disagree about the conflict in Russia and that's going on in Ukraine. That's not even that's a whole different story, a whole different discussion. But I like the way he addressed it. He didn't disrespect him. He gave his props. Said, I respect you as a boxer, but this right here, this particular issue, I'm saying, I'm questioning that. I like that because a lot of times you see people when they have a disagreement, especially two men, they come at them and just out of disrespect way, where that other person that's receiving it going to respond one way. And I think the way he came at him, Roy Jones can respond to that and quote unquote save face without. So if you come at him aggressively, and then it's hard for the other person to come back at you without that same aggression. So I like the fact that he came at him respectfully and said, "Hey, I respect you as a boxer, but we're dealing with this conflict over here, and you violated Ukrainian law by going into this particular territory. I'll have no issue with that. I think that's very respectful." Now, like I said before, we're not talking about the political part of it. That's a whole nother discussion. I'm talking about the way Vladimir addressed him. I think he addressed him in a respectful way. And I think that's something that, that needs to be done between two men, how to handle a situation, as a man. You don't have to come at somebody all aggressive to get your point across. So I don't have a problem with that. I think the way he addressed him was great, respectfully and everything. Now, moving on. Second point he talked about, he talked about Marvelous Hagler. He gave props to Marvelous Hagler. Great fighter. I mean, Hagler Hearns, Hagler Sugar Ray. I think he fought Roberto Duran too. Those were some great fights, man. That's back when I said boxing was great, from the featherweight to the heavyweights. Those welterweight fights were great, man. You had Hearns, Hagler, Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, and they would just go at it, battle each other. And I remember like watching them, going back to school, talking about them. Everybody had their favorite fighter. Some people like Sugar Ray. I was more partial to Hearns because he actually lived behind me when I was growing up. So I was more, partial to Tommy Hearns. But, watching Hagler fight, man, Hagler was a brawler, and I think that those type of fighters, man, they automatically get inducted to the Hall of Fame, first ballot all the way in. I think that Hagler was a great fighter, and I like the fact that Vladimir paid homage to him. It shows his great respect for the sport. and I respect that. I mean, I didn't really have was a Klitschko fan. I think when Klitschko was fighting, I kind of stopped watching boxing for a while because it was like no names fighting. I was like, I don't know who these people is, so I kind of lost interest. So I didn't get a chance to actually follow his career stuff what I seen on YouTube, but listen to him speak and pay homage to the sport by paying homage to um Hagler. I have respect for him. I gained respect for him for that. And then the third point that he raised that I think is should be deserved for discussion is he talk about the the game itself, where it's at, and you see this in a lot of sports now. I think NFL went through this when they talked about taking care of the boxers, not only while they're boxing, but after they finish boxing. I mentioned the Asian guy Kim that Mancini killed, you know, in a ring. Other boxers had died in the ring or had severely brain damage or, severely been damaged bodily, and they have no health care. They have no way of taking care of themselves after the sport. And then adding safety to it. Now, I think with safety, I think it's one of those things like at your job, when OSHA comes in and you're like, God, they do that. No, sometimes they go overboard with it. And I think with the NFL, where it is and where it used to be, I think it's like, okay, that went too far. I took away the game that we love growing up watching. I understand protecting the players, from CT and all that stuff. I understand all that. But sometimes you can have some kind of balance in there. And so I agree with Klitschko about the safety part. I agree with him concerning having taking care of these boxers, man. Taking care of the people who brought you money. If it weren't for the boxers, you wouldn't be earning any money. The people don't come see the promoters. The people ain't coming to Caesar Palace just because of Caesar Palace. They coming to watch fighters fight. They're the one who's bringing the money in. So I think at the very least, take care of your investment and then show appreciation for the money they made you when they leave the sport. There's no way that you have boxers brain damage. And if they was the earners, the main earners for their family, now not only that they damaged, they can't even take care of their families. So now they suffering and their family suffering. So I like the fact he raised that idea. He raised the thing about, hey, let's take care of the boxers. Then he talked about the youth. I mean, he had a little more. I didn't play the whole video because it's kind of long, but he talked about the young people coming into the sport. Right. You're right. They're not coming to see the promoters, Don King, or you're right. They coming to see the boxers. I like the fact he talked about taking care of the youth. I remember a couple of friends of mine, they fought croc boxing, and they came up. I took boxing at the community center, and I was a kid, and it starts with the young people, man. Teach them the right way how to box, teach them the footwork, teaching them the handwork, all that stuff. Teach them how to slip punches, all that. You teach them that, and teach them how to do it in a safe way. Going, and this is no knock on Roy Jones, but I'm gonna just use him as an example. Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but everybody can't be Roy Jones. So that's showboating, and if you don't have that hand speed, you're gonna get caught. And a punch in the right spot can damage or kill you. So you teach them how to protect themselves, how to keep their hands up, how to keep their stance in the right. If you're gonna be standard or southpaw, whatever, you teach them all that and how to stay safe. And then that goes down, trickle down to the refs. Is I know fans, we want to see good fights, but the refs need to recognize when a boxer had enough and stopped the fight. Because this man, you see men out there taking a beating, getting their brains bashed in, and for the sake of $1, we let them keep fighting, and no, they may not die in the ring, right? All those hits, you become punch drunk in the later years, right? And that's what I was getting to, Matt. You're right. And at the end, you know good in your 40s. You know, in your 40s, you're still young. Your 50s, you're still young, and you can't have a good quality of life after boxing. Because sport wise, once you hit 30, you know you're on the other side of being old. And most sports, except for maybe golf, you know, you play golf up until your twilight years, but outside of that, most sports, once you go other side of 30, you consider old. I mean, life wise, you're not old, but for sports, you're old. And if you still have maybe 30, 40, 50 years to live and you can't function, and then not only that, you can't function, you don't even have the money, you know, to sustain yourself. Cause a lot of people look at, such and such, they fought and got 10 million here, 5 million here, all these big purses, but you're not looking at, we don't know what they financial situation is. They may owe, they might have a big house, they take care of mom and them, cousin and them, all that stuff. All these cars they buying, all that stuff, and they may be cash strapped. It look like they got money, but all their money tied up in paying for all these other stuff they paying for. So once boxing is gone, they don't have any money. That money gone. I seen it time and time again. I had a guy stay on my block, older guy. He played football, um, and he wasn't broke, but he didn't have near the money he had when he was playing. I was going. I was a little kid, maybe about 7 years old. He had the back when they had the hula bowl. He had the hula bowl trophy on his wall. All the different trophies when he played in college sports and stuff like that. He got injured. I don't think he went to the pros. He got injured, and he just he played sport. He did play NFL. I forgot who he played for, but anyway, that's irrelevant right now. But my point is that all the money he had, it was gone. I would just say, Matt, get in, get your money, get out with your brain still intact. And that's something I'm an advocate for, Matt. I am an advocate for that. That's a great point. But any sport you play, man, sports should be like, you treat it like an investment. I'm gonna invest this amount of time to get this amount out of it, and then I'm gonna enjoy my investment. A lot of times, and don't get me wrong, it's hard. I never played professional, but when I did play sports, you like the competition. You like you like competing. And that don't go away just because you stop playing the sports. That burning, I mean, I still have that now. I like to compete. I like the competition. So that's still there. It never goes away, but you gotta know how to channel that into something else and say, hey, you know what? I had enough, my body had enough. I'm gonna channel that into something else. Everybody can't be a broadcaster. Drew Brees proved that because he's garbage when it comes to sportscasting. He was boring. So that might not be the move anyway, for a lot of people. But you figure that out as you go. Figure out what your next move gonna be after sports. As soon as you get in sports, you need to be looking at what your next move is outside of sports. That should be the immediate thing. Okay, I'm in. What I'm gonna do once I get out, and then you put in a 6 to 8 year plan to get to that next level, that next goal, the next milestone, whatever you want to call it, in life. That's how sports should be, especially sports like football, boxing. You taking a pounding on your body, time in, time out, time in. You just can't do it, man. You just can't do it. I'm gonna transition now into gotta talk a little. This is not Nick's favorite part, but I gotta talk about it. The NHL. Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Rangers that was a great game, man. What you say, Matt? A lot of these athletes go broke and don't invest their money because they don't have the right team around them financially. I agree. Now you brought that up. Uh, Marino. Marino made a lot of bad investments, man. A lot of bad investments. At one time he was broke. He made a lot of bad investments, man. And you think somebody like him, on top of that, you gotta look at it too. Back when he played, they wasn't getting money like they get now. So like back then, $4-5 million contract was a great contract. If you got $4-5 million in the NFL, you were doing good. So you gotta think about him investing millions of dollars in stuff and didn't work. Man, that right there hits your pockets hard. So you're right. You have to have the right team around you, and all that, Matt, should be a part of your plan. When I get in, get the right people around me. What I'm gonna do once football is gone, all that stuff. You got shady fuckers stealing your money up, bad investments, all that. And I mean, that part right there too is hard too because when you making a certain amount of money and you into certain things like sports, it's hard for you to kind of stay on track of stuff. And so some people hire people to watch after their their money and do their books and stuff. And if you got people stealing your money, but you have to have balance, man. And I tell people a lot, you gotta have balance. You got to be peeping over the shoulders of people like, hey, I need to see my books. Whatever time, we want to do monthly, whatever. I need to see what you're doing. And that's how you got to have checks and balances, man. You can't just like I remember Red Fox. It's not it's not sport related, but it's kind of relevant to what I'm saying. Where he was sitting outside his house, and he's watching people just IRS taking all that stuff out of his house because he owed taxes. And he was like, "Well, I had somebody doing my taxes; they wasn't doing them." I mean, you felt bad for him because by the time this was happening to him, Red Fox was up there in age. But at the same time, you have to have that checks and balance. You can't just go, let your finances go in the wind. Like, okay, I got somebody doing my finances, I'm good, and not check them. And nowadays, to me, it's less excuse because there's so much information available to you that you can learn basic bookkeeping if you didn't know bookkeeping at all. You can learn basic accounting. Shoot, hell, you can go on YouTube and learn basic accounting just so you can understand the ins and outs of what you're doing. So I think nowadays the excuses is less. And let me say that again. I think nowadays, you don't have as many excuses because you have a plethora of information out there. As well as I do, some of these guys come from nothing, never had money, didn't give millions up front, and they blow it on flashy nonsense. Oh, I agree, Matt. I agree. And I say it all the time. You gave me a lot of money back when I was 19. I would have probably been one of them people, saying broke now. So I'm not saying it like as I'm better than somebody or I don't understand it. I agree with you, Matt. But I'm saying now that I do know better, I'm telling the younger people that's coming into it to do better. Putting that out there for them because I understand that. So I understand it from that side. And I think that one of the things I saw just years ago, I can't remember where I saw it. They're doing an NFL like a little documentary, how they bring the rookies in. I don't know they doing all sports. I just remember they watching on the NFL. But anyway, they bring the rookies in and they kind of teach them financial literacy. They teach them, hey, you come in here, this is gonna happen, and you need to understand that you get your money, this gonna come out your money, this part coming out your money. So really all you have is this amount, and you can't be out here buying flashy cars and all this stuff. They teach them all that stuff. They even tell them about, women out here. They tell them about all that stuff. And I think that's good. Now, you can't make people listen, but at least put the information out there so it's available. I think that's the least you can do, at least put out there so it's available. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna keep preaching to youngsters when I see them. Hey man, yeah, you have a talent. But you gotta remember, you get up there and finally make it to whatever the pinnacle of your sport is. Keep this in the back of your mind. Would say, man, I'll probably be dead if and given that at 19, I don't have much at that time, and I know what I did on a limited budget. So having money, shit, I would have been a fool. Me too, bro. Me too. Me too, man. I 19, man, and that kind of money, I'd have been if I wouldn't have been a fool. I mean, if I wouldn't have been dead, I'd have been something else. You know what I'm saying? I'd probably been in bad shape because I've been out here bad. Because I be thinking, I'm young. First of all, if you're young, you think you're invincible. Period. You that age, you think you're invincible. So you're gonna be doing crazy stuff as it is. Then you add money into that, able to pretty much buy whatever you want. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Matt. I'm agreeing with you. Be able to buy whatever you want, pretty much go wherever you want. Traveling the world. Man, shoot, man. I've been having Asian babies and Indian babies and babies in France, babies over in the UK. Shoot, I've been dropping babies everywhere. For real. Out there, that kind of money, I've been everywhere. Everywhere. I'll be everywhere, man. For real. But going back to the Rangers and the Lightning game, man. If you didn't see that game, it was a great hockey game. Rangers scored. I mean, not the Rangers. Lightning scored. I think it was the first period, if I'm not mistaken, and it stayed 1-0 for a long time. Shesterkin, man, he's a great goalie, man. I gotta take my hats off to him because he was keeping them out of the net, bro. He was keeping them out of the net, and the Lightning was shooting a lot of shots towards the net, and he was keeping them out of that net, man. So I got my hats got to go off to Shesterkin, man. He was keeping them out of there. It went until a power play in a third period. Who was it? Patron. I forgot his name. Patron. I forgot. I can't think of the guy's name. God, dog, I can't think of his name. Anyway, one of the guys from the Rangers tied the game up, and I was like, "Oh man, here we go." Rangers about to come back, and then like a few seconds later, Stamkos. I don't know. Rangers go to name. What's the Ranger go name? Isn't it Shesterkin? Igor Shesterkin? Am I saying his name wrong? Am I jacking it up, Matt? And his name should be Smith, so I can remember. But Stamkos scored both goals. He scored the first goal, and then Rangers tied it up. And then immediately after that, it's Stamkos scored a second goal, and that was the game, man. That was like the third period round. I think like 6 minutes left in the third period. But the Rangers got most of their goals in this series on power plays. And when I saw that, I said, I can't see them winning a series. I mean, power plays happen, but you got to be able to score without a power play. I just laugh at the guy's name. Yeah, man. His name, I be trying to say his name, and every time I hear him say it when I'm watching the game, I'd be like, be leaning close so I can, what's his name? Shesterkin? But yeah, man, I really got into hockey, because when the Red Wings was good, I started watching the playoffs and stuff like that. And I think that I'm starting to like the Tampa Bay Lightning, man. Now, previewing them against the Avalanche, I think the Avalanche is a better team. I mean, they're pretty evenly matched. I think Avalanche has the advantage, a little slight advantage, maybe with their defensemen. I just think that the Goldies are pretty evenly matched. I think Tampa Bay may have a better Goldie, and I ain't gonna try to jack up his name, but I think they got a better Goldie. So I think that you're right though, Igor Sherskin, but not spelling correctly. Close enough. Close enough. You got the Igor right. Um, I think this is the match that you want to see. This is one of the few times because last year I think was it Edmonton played Tampa Bay, and Edmonton was it Edmonton? I think it was Edmonton, and they won no, it was Edmonton. Anyway, they weren't a better team. They weren't the best team out of the West at all. So I think now this year you have the best teams in the NHL with the Lightning and the Avalanche. And if you're a hockey fan and don't have a dog in the fight, this should be a good series. I think the like for who don't if you don't like hockey, well if you don't I'm sorry if you don't like it, if you haven't watched hockey, watch this series. You know, you should see some great hockey, man. Great defense, great goaltending. Um, you're gonna see some great skating, great checks. I think that watching these two teams should make you a hockey fan because the Avalanche is the best out the West and Tampa Bay the best out the East. I think that winning 3 should put Tampa Bay in that dynasty category. So I remember I had to do some research on it. So I remember we was talking about Nick and I was talking about the last time. Has anybody won? Did a 3-peat in hockey? What man said? A cousin of mine who comment on I.O.W post is a hockey fan. He has the Avs winning in 5. I can't argue with that, man. I can't argue with that. I'm pulling for Tampa Bay. I want to see them do a 3-peat, but the Avs look good, man. They look good. So if they winning in 5, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's more of a 6 or 7 game series. The only issue I see, if you watch Tampa throughout this playoff run, they kept going down by 2 games. I think they were down in the Penguin series. They was down in the last series they just played with the Rangers. And who they played? They didn't play. Who else? I can't think they played. But they was down 2 games every series they played. I don't think they can do that with Colorado. I think Colorado's too good for them to go down 0-2 and try to make a comeback. I think that's the only thing I see. I think he had Tampa Bay winning 1 at home. Yeah. That's what I'm kind of alluding to. I think that's the only issue I see. If you look at how Tampa played throughout this playoff series, man, you can't keep putting yourself in a hole and digging yourself out against the Avalanche. Avalanche is too great of a team. You know, it's not going to be a lot of goals scored in this series. It might be a lot of 1-0 games, 2-0 games. You know, I think you got great goaltending on both sides. I give a slight edge to Tampa. Let's say Voskolinski or whatever his name, Voskolinski or something like that. I think that's Tampa Bay's goalie. I tell you, all the names should be Smith, Thomas, and Jones. That way you can remember everybody. But I think Stamkos had a great playoff series. He needs to keep that up. I think some of the other supporting cast around Tampa Bay need to keep that up. All that needs to happen for Tampa Bay to pull it off. But I think they can do it. But I think the issue is that they can't play the way they played in this last series. They have, Steven Stamkos. Thank you. I think that they have to play a game tight, almost mistake free. Try to avoid the power plays, and not go down 2. If you go down, they go down 0-2, the series over. They go down 0-2, the series over. I can't see them. I can't see the Avs letting them come back and win 4 games for them, and all they had to do is win 2. I just can't see that. Not with against the Avalanche. Now, if Edmonton would have won and beat the Avalanche, I can see them doing it against Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton got some great players, but they're not like the Avalanche, man. But so Nick and I had this discussion about hockey teams winning 3 in a row. So I said, let me research that 3-peats, and I was surprised when I saw that you got the Maple Leafs in the 40s, who was the first team to win 3 straight Stanley Cups. Then the Maple Leafs turned around in the 60s and did it again. The Montreal Canadiens in the 70s won 4 straight, and the Islanders was the first U.S. team to do a 3-peat. Then you had no in the 80s with Gretzky and Messier to with the Oilers to do a 3-peat. So there was a couple of teams, mostly Canadian teams, and the Maple Leafs did 4 straight. They did 4 straight, and I want to say they did 6 straight appearances or something like that. I saw it, but I forgot to write it down. But so, having said that, what you say, man? I'm trying to talk hockey, and now I just I know just as much as I do water polo, and now nothing about water polo. I mean, I'm just learning myself, bro. I'm really just learning myself. Like I used to be I check out the playoffs here and there. The Wings haven't been in a while. I used to watch when the Wings was in all the time and watching go to the Stanley Cup and stuff like that. But just recently, I said, I'm actually gonna try to sit and watch it and try to learn more about hockey. So I'm picking it up. I'm not nowhere near of a hockey expert, but I've been trying to learn, study a little more, asking a few questions. People I know who watches hockey more than I do, because first of all, we're gonna be a sports program. We might as well talk sports. All I know, I know all the teams, some players, but that's it. I don't know all the rules. Hey, I'm Matt. I'm just learning, bro. I'm just learning, bro. Um, I'm learning about the line, icing and all that stuff. Penalties. I'm really just learning. I'm a novice at it. But the more I start to learn about it, the more I start to like it. I thought it was me one of those sports. I ain't never gonna watch hockey. But the more I started like studying it and learning it and knowing more about it, I'm actually starting to like it. I mean, before even the Wings was in it, I wait till the third period to watch it, to see if they're gonna win. Now I can actually watch a whole hockey game and be entertained. Because it's kind of like when when I was a kid, I played baseball. Um, and then I watched it as a kid. Then I kind of went away from it for a minute. I said, "Oh man, baseball boring." I used to say that and stuff after I stopped playing. And then once I really started watching, going back to and watching it again, understanding, the strategies and the ins and out, and it's more to it than just, hitting the ball and throwing throwing a pitch, hitting the ball. It's a chess match. And I think like when I started looking at hockey, it's kind of the same way. It's a chess match. And I was like, oh, okay. And now anything strategic like that, I'm like that. Icing, offsides, tripping, cross checking, high stick, power play, shorthand goals, empty net, line changes. I'm learning the terms. Start off with the terms first, and then at least you sound like you know what you're talking about when you learn the terms. Just throw terms out there. But I think this is gonna be a great Stanley Cup playoffs. I really think that for hockey fans, unless you, that's outside of Florida, and hockey fans outside of Colorado, I think they can enjoy this without being on the edge of their seats about who's gonna win. Just sit and watch and enjoy the game, because it's a great matchup. I mean, there's very little separating these teams. I think Colorado has they defensemen maybe give you a slight edge over Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay has a little more edge over them when it comes to the Goldie. I think Tampa Bay's Goldie is a little better. But outside of that, man, they evenly matched. But I think Colorado seems to be the hotter team because of the way they are beating teams versus the way Tampa Bay is beating teams. You know, Tampa Bay is like always coming back, playing from behind, stuff like that. When you get to the Stanley Cup, for the most part, you playing the best of the best. And when you're playing the best of the best, you can't play that way. I mean, it's one, like I said, this time it's a truly the best out the West versus the best out the East. So Tampa can't do that. They just can't do it, man. Before we get on to, I'm gonna talk some baseball, talk a little NFL in a minute. I gotta bring up women's softball. Man, if you watch that Oklahoma Sooners women's softball team, them girls out there be playing, bruh. I mean, I was entertained watching this College World Series. I'm looking at what's that lady? It's Jada Coleman. Man, she went up over the wall and took a home run from the Texas player. Tampa won back to back. The years prior, they had the best record and lost the first round. Right, and lost in the first round. Correct. If they win this year, that'd be a three-peat for them. And I think you gotta call them. They gotta be put in that dynasty category. I think if they win 3 in a row, you gotta put them in a dynasty category. You got to. You have to put them up there with the Oilers and the Maple Leafs, the old Red Wings. They gotta be in that conversation. I mean, the Wings is the winningest U.S. team. I think the Maple Leafs is the winningest team in NHL, and then second to the Canadians, if I'm not mistaken. I think Canadians are second, and then Montreal is first. I think it's Montreal, Canadians. If you're talking about all of NHL, I think it's then it'd be the Oilers, and then I think it's the Red Wings. I think the Red Wings got 11 or 12. I think it's 11 championships, something like that. And a lot of Stanley Cup appearances too. So you still. I'm not one of those people who say, "Oh, you get to the dance and lose, that doesn't count for nothing." You had to beat everybody in your conference on your side. You know what I'm saying? Your side of the conference to get there. That means you beat a lot of teams to get there. Only thing I count against you is how you play. Like once you get there and get blown out, then I count that against you. But if you get there and you play hard, like in football, lose by a field goal. Basketball, lose by a couple points. Baseball, it's 4-3, a 4-3 series, and you play hard in the series. I can't fault that. Hockey, a lot of 1-0 games. Just be competitive, right? A lot of 1-0 games, and you go 7. Y'all go 7 games, and you lose. I gotta give you props, man. You gotta get props for that. So if you win, let's go football, because football is more my expertise. Say you go football and you win in a decade, you win 4 Super Bowls, but you went to 8. That counts for something to me. If you go shoot, you win 2 and you went to 6, that counts for something to me. You still were better than 30 other teams. 29 or 31, 32. I forget. Sometimes my mind just jumping all these numbers. If it's 32 teams, then you better than 30 other teams. So the other 32 teams are watching y'all from home or in the stadium. So that counts for something to me. Now if you did like Buffalo did, or like the Broncos did when I was switching every other year, uh, what about winning 2 and 5? I think. Shut up, Matt. I'm not. I'm not answering that. I'm not answering that. But no, I think 2 and 5 years is great. It's great. It counts for something, man. It counts for something. That means you was competitive in a 5 year period. You got to give props to that. I mean, I give props to your Giants. Uh, I mean, honestly, like you gotta give props since you brought it up. Give props to your Giants. Plus they beat an undefeated Patriots team. I hate to see it because I'm tired of seeing them Dolphins popping up with champagne bottles. I want somebody to go undefeated before the last Dolphin die. So somebody. I mean, once all them people from the '70s Dolphin pass on, then I don't care anymore. It's nobody's face to rub it in. I want somebody still to be alive to see me achieve what they achieve. That's just how petty I could be sometimes. I'm just saying. But going back to this Oklahoma softball, it's hard to get one alone get back there to it for another. You're right. It's hard, and I think people don't take that in consideration, Matt. People do not take that in consideration that how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl or to any um finals, whatever sport you're talking about, how hard it is to get to it and let alone get back to it. We take as sports fans sometimes we take a lot of stuff for granted. Especially if you live in a city where uh Cam Newton, right. Especially live in a city where um you have a history or a heritage of having a great sports team. I.e. Los Angeles, Boston, New York, to a degree, Chicago. Um, teams like that. When you have that history, that storied history of having success in sports, sometimes you get spoiled. Look at Boston fans; they spoiled. In some ways, New York fans are spoiled, and yeah, Detroit, yep. Um, you know, LA, especially LA fans. That's why the way the Lakers look now, everybody's impatient. Oh, we gotta win, gotta win. And I think sometimes that messes up building you a great team. But since we're going down, I get back to what I was saying before, but since we're going down this road, I want to bring this up. Let's take I want to bring up the Lakers. Because I think they're a prime example of what I'm talking about. When you live in places like Los Angeles and you got the Lakers where now you tie with the Celtics of having, the same amount of championships and used to winning. A lot of times you do things like getting LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and having AD and don't you dare say it now. I'm sorry, Matt. Getting a man's name who shall not be mentioned on your team, you know, AD and stuff like that, and paying these high contracts because I gotta win now, I gotta win now, I gotta win now. And still looking, fuck LeBron. I was waiting for it, man. Because I was talking to somebody about this today, and they brought up the fact that the man's name who shall not be mentioned on this show going to Golden State. And I said, if I was Golden State, I wouldn't make that deal because here's why: Golden State got a lot of young talent, a lot of young talent. If I take him and put him on my team, the Lakers gonna want a lot, and they're gonna want your young talent. So now you're gonna trade away your future for who knows how long he may play. 37, what are you, 37 now? Going on 38. He might have a year, maybe two, say max 3 years. After that third year, You got to rebuild your stars. You already have Steph, Clay, 33, 4 years older. 38 in December. Thanks, man. 33, 4 years older now. So now they older too. And then your future is gone because you didn't trade them to LA. That don't make any sense. But when you live in cities like LA, you do things like that because you're so used to winning instead of like, look at all those names we can name that was on the Lakers. Him and my late father had the same birth. Oh wow. R.I.P. To your dad, man. Um, when you live in cities like that, instead of like building from the young, okay, we had 2 or 3 bad years. I already had 2 or 3 bad years for a long historic year. I mean, long run into the playoffs and possibly get a couple of championships. Then to win one championship now, which was the bubble championship, and now you have no way soon to get back to a championship. You paying Russell Westbrook a whole lot of money. You paying AD a whole lot of money to sit on the bench. You got the other guy whose name shall not be mentioned, um, tied up in money, and he's subject to just take off and go in anytime. He already said, wherever my son go, I'm gonna go. Or if the wind blows one way, he might go. Cleveland, i.e. Cleveland, i.e. Miami, i.e. back to Cleveland. Now LA. He's subject to do that. So what you gonna do? You didn't trade it away. At one time you had Brandon Ingram. At one time you had Julius Randle. I mean, we can go down the line. You trade away Cruz, I can't say his name, the ball white guy. Um, you trade away all your young talent. That was your future. That was your future. Now you have no future. I mean, the young guys you got now are great supporting cast if you had the rest of those guys and a couple of vets mixed in with that, you can do a great push. Caruso, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't get the name. Um, you know, why would you do that? But that's the problem with these storied history cities. They let the fans dictate what they're gonna do. Oh, we losing. We gotta win. We gotta win. We gotta win. And they get pressured to make these quote unquote blockbuster trades. A lot of times don't make nothing. What you got? You got a one championship out of that, and you won't see another one. If you're lucky, I say if you're lucky, 5 or 6 years, because you got a lot of turnover there, a lot of things you got to work out, contractually, a lot of things you got to work out, maneuverly, player wise, personnel wise, coach wise, organization wise. There's so much stuff you got to work out. I mean, now you look at, on the other hand, Boston. They went through some down years. When the last time they won was with Paul Pierce and all them. Those are some great teams, but they had a lot of down years. But they look how they build, and they build. Danny Ainge got some players in there, and they build slowly. Now look at them. Boston's in the finals, and not only if they lose these finals, Boston looks like they'll be back. It may not be next year, but they will compete in the East for a championship for some years to come. On the other side of the coast, they're gonna compete. It'll be a while before they compete. Unless something drastic happen we don't see, it's gonna be a while. LeBron. To me, if it was me, I find a way to clean up house and start all over again. I mean, and I don't care if I gotta suck for 2-3 years. As ownership, that's what I'm doing. I'm cleaning a slate and starting all over again. From the ground up and laying me a strong foundation for my house to sit on. You got, if you got a sorry foundation, everything's gonna crumble. Where's your foundation? Westbrook? turnover. He's a turnover machine. As many points he's gonna score, he's gonna give up that same amount. AD haven't played a full season in 3 years. Uh, they suck now, so might as well tear it down. They ain't got nothing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you on that, man. That's what I'm saying. If you already have nothing, if you already can't compete, what's the use of holding on to what you have? That's like you already know the marriage is gone. You already know both of y'all don't like each other. Both of y'all can't stand each other. What we holding on for? Just let it go. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing. You got all these players that's not gonna do nothing for you. Just let it go. Let it go. That's what they need to do. That to me, it's like when you are these storage franchise, you pressured to win now. I mean, people crap on the Knicks a lot. Uh, Trade flopper, and get some. That's what I would do, man. I mean, Phil Jackson already said he'd like to see he'll trade LeBron, but he said he'll keep Russell Westbrook. I don't know, that's a contract thing or something. I don't know why he want to keep Westbrook, but I agree with that. Somebody will take him and give you something for him, and you look for you go send him somewhere where you can get some young pieces. That's what you need to do. Send him somewhere where you can get some young pieces. Don't. I'm gonna use this as an example. I was talking to somebody about the Lions. I think it's around the Debo trade and everything. So, and I belong to a lot of different little Lion chats and stuff. And they're saying, man, they should go get Debo, man. Go get Debo. I said, Debo would be good to get if you don't have to give up a lot for him. Because if you look at the way the Lions is building, they got a lot of little nice pieces in there. You don't want to give up those pieces to get one player that won't move you that far. It won't move the needle that far. You're not going to the playoffs if you get rid of all them players and you got Debo. You're not going to a Super Bowl. So why spend a lot of money or give up a lot for that? And I think it's the same thing with the Lakers. Don't take LeBron, trade him somewhere where you can get some nice young pieces because you ain't going nowhere no time soon. And just build slow. He knows Flopper is gone the minute Bronny gets in the league, can't build around him at 37, 30. I know, man. And that's another thing too. He's making it known. Saying when my son get in the league, wherever he going, I'm out. That makes him a liability as trade value too. Because if I'm a team and I start bringing him in my team on my team, so I either gotta do it as thinking as a package deal and say, hey, I'm gonna try a way to get Bronny over here with us so you can stay, or B is like, well, why I'm gonna take you because you're going to a lottery, no guarantee I can get him. So why I'm gonna take you and then I get you for a year, say we get a good chemistry, got some players over here, and we make it a push, and then you leave next year or whenever he comes into the league. Why would I take you? That's a waste of time and money. Uh, get something now while his stock is still relatively high. Yeah, but that's the only blemish though. If you think about that, if you're a team and LeBron's making statements that my son get in the league, I want to play with him. I think I'm kind of hesitant to take him. I mean, somebody take a chance on because of LeBron, but for me, I'm looking at it from a business standpoint. I'm kind of hesitant because, like, okay, take Orlando. I like what Orlando has down there. I think they building something. They're a few pieces away from really being a great team. And say I'm just using it as a example. They get LeBron down there, and they start really, the chemistry works, and they start, working and building and making playoff pushes and stuff like that. And maybe they want now with LeBron, they one piece away from maybe going to the finals, and then LeBron possibly can leave. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I got these young players down here, and we building chemistry, you didn't messed up my whole foundation. You didn't mess up my whole chemical makeup. I'm not doing that. So I think that's another thing that may be um hard for me to pull a trigger if I'm looking at LeBron. But if I'm on the Lakers side, you shop them around and keep shopping around till somebody say, "Hey, we'll take them," and you say, "Okay, I don't want your vets. Give me some of your young pieces. Let me get these young players in here first. Some of these, and then the following year, look for a couple of good vets to fit in there. Like a vet, like I'm just using his example. You want a Patrick Beverly type player as a vet once you the following year. You want someone that can get in there and you know take over the locker room and lead these young players somewhere. You want that kind of vet. You know, you don't want you don't need a superstar right away. You need someone to come in and say, "Hey, you know what? Let me teach y'all how to do this and do that. Play a little defense here. The little ins and outs that you don't know about as a youngster. That's what they need. That's what Lakers need. If they're gonna get a vet, that's the kind of vet they need. But right now, I think they should get young players. Young players, go young. Hypothetically, if you was Jeannie Buss or Rob Palenka, what would you be willing to take for Flopper? I gotta have at least he's a 3-player trade. He's at least 3 players, and I want two. I want 2 young players and 1 Patrick Beverly type. That's what I want. So you know, but I'm thinking about teams in my head. Who's willing to give up that for LeBron? I mean, you go around the league, cause other people gonna make moves. I think that Mitchell's leaving Utah. Possibly, Gobert may leave Utah. Um, who else might make a move? You don't know what Philly gonna do because that James Harden experiment didn't work. I mean, I'm not saying that you should take James Harden. I'm just saying all the people that's possibly gonna be moving next year. That experiment didn't work, so he possibly may be on the move. Yeah, know what? I think so too. Matt Nolens would be good because big man, he probably up out of New Orleans next year. Now I like him. It here's the thing, man, about my man, big man. If he can get his weight, Dallas would be good. If he can get his weight down and get a some sense of hustle to him, he'd be great on the Lakers, man. I think he'd be a good piece to add to the Lakers. He has this star appeal, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Well, if he get his mind, his mental together to play and get in shape, get in basketball shape, I think he has a star appeal for LA. Um, Dallas would be nice because Dallas only a few players. Dallas' problem is how you got to get players that's gonna play around Luka because Luka is so ball dominant, and he needs nutrition. Yep, I agree with that too. But you know what, Matt? It starts with his mental. It starts with his mind. It starts with his mental commitment to want to do it. Because we can give him all nutritionists in the world. We can give him all these plans and all this stuff. But if you don't have a mental mindset to commit to it, all that's null and void. And I think I mean, I don't know personally. Um, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it seems like to me when I'm looking at Zion. It just looks like he does not have the mental commitment to it, you know, and and it happens. I mean, it goes back to what we were saying. You and I were saying before. If you look at a young guy, we're talking about how if we was young, had that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? What we would do. He was young. You know, had 1 year with Duke, and then he in the NBA. So, what's that? 19 years old in the league, big contract, and sometimes everybody don't flip that switch to, professional player. Everybody don't flip that switch, and sometimes, it take a minute to flip that switch, and some people may want to flip that switch, but by that time they out of the league. Yeah, 20 games max at Duke. Yeah, you're right. So I think with Zion, man, whatever that mental disconnect he has, he needs to make that connection first. I think if he makes that connection, he has a chance to have somebody build with him. I don't know. I can't say exactly he's a piece that you can build around, but he's a good Robin to somebody's Batman. I think, but the problem I say with Dallas is Luca. It's only certain type of players that can play with that style that Luca plays with. Unless Luca decides to change, and Luca's another one. He needs to get in basketball shape. I'm also watching Warriors series, and sometimes he was down at the other ends. After the rebound, after the Warriors get the rebound, Luca still at the other end. So he becomes a liability on defense. That needs something that needs to be addressed by him coming into next year. He has to get in basketball shape. You know, yeah, you rack up 40 points, nights and stuff. That looks good for Sports Center. But if you hitting 40 and giving up 40, what good is that? It just look good on Sports Center. It looks good for your stats. You know, well, we can say, well, Luca, he's leading this stat and that stat. Yeah, but he's also leading the stat, most points given up, stuff like that. So you become a liability on the defensive side of the ball. And I think like you have to have certain players that can play in that style of offense with Dallas. So that's why I don't think that Zion would be a perfect fit there. And it's all hinges on Zion getting his mind right. It's all hinges on Zion getting his nutrition right. All that's hinging on all that because he can end up being a Greg Odom or Harold Miner. A flash in the pan was great at one time. Everybody talked about you, and now you out of the league. I remember, man, Harold Miner was one they talked about. Oh, baby Jordan, this and that. He couldn't read defense. He couldn't read. He couldn't. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't understand how to read defenses. So yeah, he is an offense. He scored offense a lot, but his defense sucked. He looks like the guy who was from around the way that always showed up at the court with the marble ring hanging from his mouth and a bandana around his head. Right, right. And those who grew up like in inner cities, there's a lot of cats around the court like that. That was a great talents for pickup basketball. Like I knew a guy, man. This guy, he only could play when he's high. When he was high, he was like Jordan. I mean, he hit everything. And he was a great talent for the pickup games, but he wasn't NBA talent. I know a couple guys like that. Great, man. This other guy I grew up around, man. This guy could score just score relentlessly. But you gotta realize he playing against people that's not NBA caliber. When you get to the NBA, everybody can do what you do, to a degree. So you have to be that much better than that. You have to transcend the court. But if you go to like some of these inner cities, man, there's some great guys out there. And there's some guys that probably could play in the NBA too, don't get me wrong. There's probably a couple of guys, but those are rare. But for the most part, most of these guys are great Rucker Park guys, but not necessarily NFL people. I mean, in NBA talent. And but going back to Zion, man, I would love to see Zion. I know a cat that had a world of talent in a certain sport, but never applied themselves or got caught up running with the wrong crowd. Yeah, that happens too, bro. That happens a lot. It happens a lot. I seen a lot of guys. Man, let me tell you something, man. I remember a guy lived next door to me. This guy, if I was a knucklehead, I probably could have played the NFL because he was a great quarterback. When I say throw the ball like Elway hard, and he would make you catch it, like catch it. I got so used to catching that ball like that. You know what I'm saying? That I can catch anything. Well, I don't know about now, but I used to be able to catch anything. And man, we would play sometimes. You know, we was kids. We would play like pickup games in the front of the house. And man, this guy would throw this mug from one end of the street to the other. Run all kinds of Letterman jackets in high school. The guy with the wrong crowd got hooked on drugs, and that was in his career, man. Scouts coming looking at him. I mean, this guy was talent. Talent, bro. Scouts, I mean, had scouts was begging him to play. Got hooked up with the wrong crowd. Got caught up on drugs. You know, all those things happened, and now, I mean, the neighborhood's full of potential players. If you ride up and down, football, baseball, chlamydia, whatever. Hey, you know, sometimes it's like that, bro. I catch anything, you know, crabs, everything. Sorry, but you know, if you ride through some of these neighborhoods, man, it's full of could have beens and should have beens, and some of these NBA, the people that make it to the NBA, there's a lot of players like that, man. That could have been great, but just for whatever reason, like you look at we going since we talking about Zion, because he don't have his mentor right. Say no one decides to say, hey, we're gonna trade him. Say he do go to the Lakers. We brought that up. He goes to the Lakers, but still have the same work ethic. The Lakers get rid of him. After a while, you develop this reputation. No one wants you. You out of the league unless you play in Euro, unless you go over to overseas and play and stuff like that. But for the most part, you out of the NBA. And the European League will give you a check, but they ain't giving you an NBA check. That's wasted talent. Before you know it, you back home in mom's basement. I seen that too. That happens, man. I hate to see it for him because I mean, you make it this far, you didn't made it. You didn't made it to the pinnacle, man. So I would hate to see him be out of the league. But it happens. It happens to some of the greatest players. I think the percentage of people that actually make it to professional sports is small. And he made it. You there, bro. And now he can possibly in a couple of years may not even be in the league. You might not even see him playing with nobody else if he don't get himself together, man. He ready for football, not basketball. I mean, he always had a big wide body. He's gonna have that regardless. That's his frame is wide, and so when you carrying that kind of wide body frame, you really have to be tight with your nutrition. You have to be tight with your nutrition because you're a sandwich away from being out of the league. You know what I'm saying? You're a piece away from being in the G League. What you say, man? My brother graduated high school in the early '90s with this guy who would have been playing on Sundays. A guy had a full ride to Wake Forest and then fucked it up there over credit cards and fraud and stupid shit. Yeah, that happens, bro. It happens, man. And you hate to see it, bro. You hate to see it because, especially like people you see in the neighborhood, and you be like, yeah, man, I know he gonna go to the NBA. I know he gonna go to the NFL. I know he gonna play baseball, whatever the sport is. You see it, you know it, and then you look up, they're in the penitentiary, or strung out somewhere. It happens, man. And and you get players or you get I don't know what's worse. Not living to your potential or getting to the place you've been wanting to get and still not be able to make it work because you're doing knucklehead stuff. I mean, I brought this up before. I think it's another thing need to be discussed since we are going down this road. When you get to a certain level, if the guys that you hanging around is messing up your money, you don't need to hang around no more. I know we hear this thing about, oh, we need to keep it real. We need to keep it real. You know, all that stuff. If I'm 19 and I made it to the top of my game, whatever sport that is, I'm gonna do dumb shit. I mean, that's just human nature. I mean, it's gonna happen. You young, you don't know much, and you got money. You gonna do dumb stuff. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Between 19 and 25, if I stay in the league that long and don't get kicked out of the league for doing stupid stuff, there should be a progression. There should be some kind of mental change in your behavior. You know, you should become a professional at what you do. I never seen a guy like that in high school, that powerful and that good. He was a running back and a quarterback. Oh wow, wow, oh wow, man. Yeah, I hate to see that kind of talent go, man. That's that's the one. Oh, the better play a running back and cornerback. That's a great talent, man. And you know, it's powerful, like you said. You hate to see that talent go to waste. But i.e. Adam Pac-Man Jones. How many times was he's in the club and you see, oh, people had around or had shootouts with people and stuff like that. All it takes is one incident, man, and it messes up everything. Everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm a type of person, you know, if I got it, you got it. I'm not the type of person. If I got it, you got it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I don't understand, especially we came up together. So it's not like I don't understand that. So I'm not coming from a position of not understanding, you know, guys I grew up with. You know, if I make it to the league and not reaching back, that is not what I'm saying. But it has to be an understanding of I can't. If I mess up my paper, I can't reach back and help anybody. If I mess up my paper, I can't do nothing for anyone. So you still have to think about if one of the cats you got running with you is gonna do something to mess with you, they still trying to live a street life in a professional environment, they don't need to be around you. I mean, I can still come, you know, come through the hood and visit you and say, "What's up, man? What's good?" Blah blah blah, kick it with you, stuff like that. But I'm gonna be hanging out with you like that. You know, right then you go to the club or wherever I'm hanging out. I can't be hanging around you like that because you jeopardizing my paper. This is an investment. It's no different um if I had an investment and I'm meeting with some investors to make $1 billion move, and I know that if I bring so and so with me, you know, he gonna say something stupid that's gonna mess up that investment. Anybody in the right mind say, man, you should leave so and so at the crib, you know, and make that move. It's no different. The professional sports is an investment. You invest in your body into something in order to get something on the other end, you know, and I can't have nobody jeopardizing the investment because once the investment's gone, now both of y'all still sitting there chilling, you know, in the hood with no money. Talking about welcome to Walmart or welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order? You know, you still you doing stuff like that. I mean, Harold Miner is a school teacher. I mean, it's not wrong being a school teacher. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying he went from a possibility of making, you know, life changing money to, you know, making money from maybe living check to check kind of money. Drew Pearson and Joe Theismann were back in my hometown last week filming a documentary. Theismann was a quarterback. Oh, really? Was his quarterback in high school? Oh, wow. Of J.R. Ryder. Right. I remember J.R. Ryder. Right. I mean, J.R. Ryder was a talent, bro. I remember he was the only thing good for the Lakers at the time when Lakers were. I think they had Anthony Pillar back then, J.R. Ryder. Um, I forgot who else they had back then, but J.R. Ryder was the best thing going for the Lakers back then. I think Van Exel was on that team too. Um, what's her man name? I see his last name Jones. It's Eddie Jones. I think he was on that team. I mean, they had a decent team, but they went on championship caliber team. And Isaiah Ryder was the best thing going. I mean, I like Nick Van Ansel. I didn't like Nick Van Ansel. I say that because when Cincinnati had Cincinnati and Michigan, they had that rivalry going at one time. Yeah, Eddie Jones from Temple, right? But they had a decent team. I mean, it wasn't a championship caliber team, but Isaiah Ryder was the man on that team. You know, so I mean, you can't mess up your investment. You just can't, man. It's just not just something. I think that these athletes need to learn. These young athletes need to learn that. You know, I hear that this idea of gotta keep it real. Blah blah blah, all that stuff. But you gotta understand. Remember where no, I don't remember. Where did he go to college at? Was it? It wasn't UNLV, was it? I'm gonna have to look it up. See, unless Matt. Let me see. But yeah, UNLV. Okay. Um, that was a powerhouse school for a while. I mean, Reggie Theus kind of started off that that powerhouse they had. Then you go into like Larry Johnson and um I can't think of my man name. Stacey Augman and all them. You know what I'm saying? That was a great team, man. I used to love UNLV, bro. I used to love UNLV. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So going back to what I was saying though, you have to be committed. Stacey Augman, Kenny Anderson, yeah, great team, bro. That was a great that UNLV team was great. I hated to see them lose to Duke, man. I was so mad on that back to back. Mad about that, bro. But I think they just got out coached. Don't get me wrong. I think Duke had some decent talent, but I think the Running Rebels was a better talented team, way better talented than Duke was. It was just that Coach K is a great coach, man. He know how to take what he has, and get the best out of him. So I gotta give him those props. He know how to take what he had to get the best out of him. Now, great coaching can beat talent all day long. Fat Five proved that. I think the Fat Five was more talented than any team they went up against. You know, but sometimes, I mean, Fisher just wasn't a great coach. He proved that once he left. He ain't hear nothing else about Fisher after he left Michigan. Because talent, because great coaching can beat talent, especially on the college level. Yeah. Oh, really? I don't remember that. Rutgers beat UNLV in OT. Following year, UNLV made the final. Oh shoot. Yeah, that's when Larry Johnson on them left, right? I forgot who they had after that because he went to the NFL. I mean NBA too. After Larry Johnson on left, I see his face, but I can't think of his name. But I'm gonna say this last thing about this. I'm gonna try to move on. So I want to talk about. I want to try to get to some baseball before we get out of here. If I Greg Anthony played there. Yeah, Greg Anthony played there. Uh, um, when you know what I'm saying, when you are an NBA, well, not let's just not go NBA, any kind of going into any kind of professional sports, if your mind ain't right, you know what I'm saying, it can end your whole career. Your mind has to be right, bro. Has to be right. Going in there, it's not just about your talent. Look at Jamarcus Russell. I don't think Jamarcus Russell the greatest talent in the world, but he had the physical capabilities to be great if coached right and had the right mindset. I think if he had the right mindset and great coaching, I think Jamarcus Russell could have been a decent quarterback. Ryan Leaf, right? Ryan Leaf too. But I think 'cause everybody crap on Jamarcus Russell, and rightfully so. He did some dumb stuff, but I think that if given the right coach and he had the right mindset, I think he could have been a decent quarterback. And I don't think he would have been a Hall of Famer or nothing like that. But he had the physical attributes, you know, to to be a good quarterback. I just think that he's a perfect example. Him and Ryan Leaf are perfect examples of not having your mind right. Period. But all right, Matt, you should love what I'm about to say now. We're gonna talk about New York baseball, man. And it's interesting because normally when you say baseball in New York, you say Yankees, unless you're a Mets fan. But the Yankees, I'm gonna get to that 44-16, man. The Yankees and the Mets look good. Both teams look great. Both teams are doing it different. The Mets are putting the ball in play, small ball. Um, Even with some of their hits to their pitching staff, they still winning games. So you got my hats go off to them. They look good, man. The Mets look good. The Yankees doing it on the other hand with good pitching and and great bats. Great batting, man. Now the sport I could talk about. I think I think is that my phone? Yeah, my phone ringing. I think that both teams are looking great, and making New York baseball look good. So now it really makes you look forward to the Subway Series. Because before it was either like, yeah, he's probably gonna beat the Mets. You know, every now I ain't saying that the Mets never don't win sometimes, but it wasn't. It was kind of like when the Yankees and the Red Sox were great. You wanted to see that Yankees Red Sox matchup. Biggest addition for the Mets is Buck Showalter. I agree. I agree. I agree. I think he's helped turn that team around, man. Now let's hope the Mets don't do what the Mets do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been plenty of years where the beginning of the season you some speaking high praise about the Mets, and by the end of that year, you like, what happened to the Mets? you know, I mean the Braves only 5 games back. I mean, uh, he got the Mets playing hard nosed baseball. He playing baseball like baseball should be played. You know, they're not really doing it with power hitting. They're doing it with a lot of small ball, putting the ball in play. Pitching's keeping them in the games. Even with the hit to their star pitchers, two of their star pitchers. Uh, it's the ATL right on their ass now. 11 wins. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're only 5 games back, bro. They're only 5 games back. All it takes is a slump, and that's it, man. The Mets can be overtaken by the Braves. Then on the other side, with the Yankees, man, what was it? The Blue Jays is 8 games back. The Blue Jays are a decent team, a good team. I don't see them overtaking the Yankees, But here's the question I pose, because you play 162 games, and this for both teams. What you gonna look like, or how you gonna weather the losing streak? Because the losing streaks come. It's gonna come. I mean, you play 162 games. It happens in baseball. You know, on the Mets end, are you strong enough to withstand that losing streak and get back to playing at the top of your league? You know, same with the Yankees. Are they strong enough to weather that losing streak, whether it be 3 in a row, 4 in a row, whatever that losing streak may come? Because it happens. You play so many games, you know, that losing streaks come. You know, batters go into slumps. Sometimes pitchers get figured out, or or throwing so many games, you throw a couple pitches here and there outside the zone, and are not on target, and someone hits a home run to win the game. Those happen, man, because you play so many games. If the Yankees played 500 baseball the rest of the way, they would finish at 95 wins. Correct. I mean, I think between both teams, I have more faith in the Yankees. That's not because I'm a Yankee fan. I just the Mets have to prove it to me. Cause like I said before, um, it's been many years I watched the Mets play, and they started off hot, and then somewhere down the line, they screwed it up. Whatever the reason may be. So I have more faith in the Yankees. I mean, you look at the Yankees. I like the Yankees pitching. Um, I just think that I think Cortez and Cole and Talon. Yeah, I mean, they pitching pretty good. Um, Yankees bats looking good. I just think that they have more sustainability than the Mets do. Unfortunately, my Tigers ain't doing much, so I have to pull for the Yankees. That's my second team anyway. So, you know. Mm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. New ownership, new management, new regime. This may be what they need to turn that whole same old Mets theme around. It may be, but I'm still like kind of looking on the side, like, okay, you still gotta show it to me. I mean, it looks good because of the new ownership and the new regime, especially with Showalter there. Um, and it looks good for the Mets. And for baseball, I would like to see them be successful. I think that's good. I think it'd be good for baseball to watch the Mets be successful. To watch both teams be successful. That's good for New York. So I mean, it would be good to see, because it'd bring a lot of eyes to New York baseball. Not, what I'm saying, so to speak. I mean, I know a lot of people watch New York baseball. I'm talking about now. It's like you're gonna watch it more because you got two great teams playing. It's still just, I'm only watching the Mets because I'm from Queens. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Mets fan, but or Yankees are doing well, so I'm gonna kind of gravitate to the Yankees, and I see the Mets when they play the Subway Series. But if you got both teams playing now when the game is on, because I remember the other night, I don't care what day it was, but it was a lot of baseball games on. And I was like, well, I'm gonna watch the Mets game. I turn on the Mets because I hear everybody talking about. I want to see what they're doing. I think I watched them over the Yankees game. I think it was when they was playing the Padres. I want to say it was playing the Padres. I watched some of that game. So the Mets being good brings Mets will always be second field, just like the Nets to NSC, and the Jets too. And I call the Mets the Jets of baseball, and not because it rhymes. You know what I'm saying? And that's no diss to the Jets, but just like it is, it's like the Giants is always, gonna be king when it comes to football over the Jets, until the Jets prove that they can overtake that. I think the Jets have a better chance than the Mets do, far as like playing second fiddle. So I think even if the Mets, say the Mets win a World Series this year, it's hypothetically, Matt, hypothetically, I still think they're not going to overtake the Yankees as far as popularity and how people watch the Yankees and stuff like that. But I think if the Jets, with that regime they had there, and what they got going on, if they turn that around, I think people will start watching the Jets. It's something about the Jets, man, that you want to root for them. I don't know what it is. There's something about them. You know what I'm saying? I remember like back when they had Gastineau and Joe Klecko and Freeman McNeil and all that. I used to like watching the Jets play. I mean, I can't say I was a fan, but I used to like watching them. Mets before game series at Dodgers lost 2 of the 3 to the Padres, then won 2 against the Angels, 5-for-5 on a 10-game West Coast trip. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, man. I did. Um, I don't know. It's still early too. It's still early in the baseball season, so I don't. It's too early to make predictions. I mean, the Dodgers looking good. Like they back on top. Keith O'Brien, Al Toon. Yep. Ken O'Brien, Al Toon. Yeah. Al Toon. I forgot about Al Toon. Yeah. It was fun to watch, man. Even though um, they haven't won a Super Bowl since Namath. It's something about the Jets, man. It's just like they get certain like gritty players on their team to make you want to watch. You know, Braylon Edwards. They had Braylon Edwards and Antoine Camardi and Derek Reeves. Um, what's my man name? He from Detroit too. Can't think of his name right now. I see his face and everything. God, what's his name? Linebacker. He got a show now. Uh, are you alive for the Jets? No, I wasn't alive for the Jets Super Bowl win. I wasn't even thought of when the Jets won the Super Bowl. um, Bart Scott, thank you. Yeah, Bart Scott. They had the players that make you like might want to watch the Jets. Like, oh man, I like what they got when they had Rex Ryan. He had a personality that's like bigger than life. So the Jets always had something to me. It's like it was kind of like the Giants was kind of like the suit and tie people. You know, that's not saying they didn't have greedy players too, but there's something about the Giants. It's like they was more the white collar type team, and it's like the Jets was that blue collar, gritty, and it made you gravitate to watch them. Kind of pull for them. If your team is not doing anything, then you a pull for them. If they're not playing your team, you don't mind pulling for the Jets. It's always something. It's something about the Jets I always like. Like I said, well, not enough to be a fan, but the kind enough to admire them. It might have been some of the players they had. I mean, I love Gastineau back in the day. I like watching them play, even though they didn't produce a lot of wins back, for a while. Like I say, back then for a while. The Jets are like putting lipstick on a pig. You can dress it up, but you still still an oinker. Oh, you got me. I know you're a Giants fan, but you still gotta give props to you know the way they have great. They have those players that make you kind of want to root for them. It's hard. It's like this. Um, every now and then, Ohio State have players that like. If I wasn't a Michigan fan, I could see me rooting for that player. But because they wearing that scarlet, red, and gray, I just can't do it. I mean, Eddie George, great running back for Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? But because he wore that scarlet, red, and gray, I just couldn't root for him. But I can understand somebody that was a Michigan fan want to root for him because the way he ran. I mean, you had to give out the props the way he ran, especially in college. You gotta give us props. I think the Jets they got kind of players like you. They got those players that make you say, you know what, they got something. They got something. Before we get out of here, got 4 minutes. I just want to bring up the Phil Nicholson thing. Get your opinion on that, Matt. You know, he kind of made a statement about the tour and the greed of the tour. He said he thinks that the PGA is a nonprofit, so they get their money through donations and they get most of their money through media rights. Oh, you a big golf fan? Okay, cool. Uh, so they get their money through donations and media rights, and Phil was kind of saying, hey, they need to get some of that money back to the players, and that kind of caught my ear because it kind of remind me of what the NFL players say sometimes, what the NBA players sometimes, and even during the lockout time, what the MLB players were saying. You know, get some of that money. Y'all making all this money, and in comparison, because we know they make money too compared to the average fan, but in comparison of what they bring in and what the players are getting, is minuscule. And Phil kind of brought that up, and so he decided to go play in the Saudi Arabia, golf tournament. Now, my question is this a trend that's going to start to happen with other players that's going to bring the prestige of the PGA Tour down? I'm kind of curious to see. I don't know the answer, but I am kind of curious to see, will this bring the prestige of the PGA Tour down over the course of time? Because Greg Norman, you know, um, what he's doing, I forgot what he is called, but he's putting together some things, and that's backed by the same people that's doing on Saudi Arabia um tour. So now you got former play, you got Greg Norman, doing something that's moving players into what he's doing, and Phil Mickelson is moving over that way. A few other players say they might go over there. Now that starts getting momentum. Will that bring down the prestige of the PGA Tour? You know, they didn't show they didn't discuss the financials, so I don't know how much the players getting more money, far as like compared to the TV rights and all that stuff. Are they getting some of that a bigger piece of the pie? If they not, and they decide to do that, yeah, LIV. I don't know why I can remember that. And if they not, and they decide to do that, would that be even more attractive to draw more players over there? These guys are taking huge paydays to play in a way of less tournaments. The LIV tournament backed by Greg Norman and Saudi money. And Saudi money, that's a lot of money. I'm just curious. I mean, I'm kind of just throwing a question out there, not really having an answer, but I'm just kind of curious on what's that going to look like 5 years down the line if it gets momentum. If it gets momentum, 7 years down the line, if it gains momentum, what is that going to look like? And I think this is interesting. It's not just about. I think it's more to it than just about Fields playing in this tournament. I think it's like, what is the state of golf going to look like in 5 years? I don't know. I just think it's something. I think it's a good question to ask. What is the state of golf going to look like in 5 years if this thing's gain momentum? If they start shelling out more money, because money talks. I don't care what you say, money talks. Ask Johnny Depp. Money talk. It's a business decision. Also, that's a lot of money to leave on the table. Oh yeah, I agree. I agree, man. I agree. And if you in it, you ain't doing it. You ain't doing it for your health. You're doing it for the money. So I think these next few years, it's gonna be interesting to start watching golf and see how this thing pans out, man. See how this thing pans out because that Saudi money, their pockets are deep. Unless everybody all of a sudden switch to electric vehicles, you know what I'm saying? Their pockets are deep. They got all that oil over there. Their pockets are deep, bruh. So they can kind of shell out money and keep shelling out money and keep shelling out money to eventually PGA may not be able to compete with them, as far as money wise. And then as a golfer, you got to make a decision. Do I want to stay with the tradition, or do I want to go ahead and get this money? Offer me 9 figures to play in 8 to 10 tournaments, and 6 of them are here in the States. No brainer. Facts. Facts, bro. I agree with you on that, man. I agree with you on that. You know, I'm gonna leave it at that because we at the 2 hour mark. But I just think that is something that we need to look at. This is not just about Phil Mickelson playing this one tournament. This is about the future of golf. Trust me when I say this. It's about the future of golf. But anyway, appreciate you, Matt, man. You made it easier to have someone to talk to. I appreciate it, man. Instead of me talking to the air. Everybody out there, when you catch this on the replay, don't forget to hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, share it. Catch Wildcard Mar 11 o'clock now, I think it is, on this late night owl. I'm sure he'll be on tonight after you get off work. Check him out. Nick and his Proud Jet Fans podcast. 4 million. Oh wow. For his win. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, Matt. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah. And if you ain't doing nothing Thursday around the same time, 4:00 p.m., tune in. I guess that's everything, man. Appreciate you again, Matt, man. Shout out to everybody who was listening. Shout out to those who always listen, our faithful people. And if we haven't told you, we appreciate you. For 54 holes too, not 72. Oh shoot. That's good money. That's good money. All right. Let me get out of here because I'm over the 2 minute mark. 2 hour mark. I can keep talking about sports, but it's time for me to go eat. Peace. Appreciate y'all.